Hey friends, and welcome to another episode of the Soul CEO podcast. My name is Rachel Picard. I'm the founder of Soul CEO, where we are passionate about helping faith-based network marketers build a business without losing their soul. It is episode 60, and today is a doozy because we're talking about switching companies. Now, before we talk about why and how and when, like why you should switch companies and what you should be looking for in identifying a company that's right for you. No. We'll get into that in a future episode. This is about what to do when somebody leaves, right? That mindset of like, oh my gosh, a leader left my team or a distributor quit and went to another company. And I'll share with you guys that this has happened to me many, many times, even recently. I've been in this industry now 20, oh my gosh. Wow, I'm really adding, there's some network marketing rounding, 15 years. And it's just part of the game. It's part of just the world that we're in. And it's not actually just in network marketing. I mean, this happens in corporate America. My dad owns a brick and mortar salon. People leave his salon occasionally and go to either a different salon or booth rental or salon suites or whatever. And so this is not specific just to network marketing, but the way network marketing approaches this is somewhat similar to corporate, but also somewhat different. The similarities happen at a corporate level, usually with non-competes, right? Every company is a little bit different, but you sign a distributor agreement, and it's important. Number one, you guys, you got to know what your distributor agreement says. So whether you're looking to leave or somebody, leaves your team, you got to know, like, what do the policies and procedures, how does compliance react to that, right? That's on them. And any contracts that we sign are with the company, right? So we kind of let the company kind of deal with that. But it's important to know, what does your company allow? What do new companies allow? It'll really get you up to speed of, what's appropriate in this kind of move or transaction. So this is not uncommon in the corporate space to have like non-competes or non-cross recruiting or, whatever it might be. But I want you to understand the way you approach it as a leader will speak volumes for you. And I believe that it's one of those ways that you have as a faith-based entrepreneur to show up and show your Jesus. Because I'll tell you, years ago, I did this the wrong way. And I did it the wrong way in my previous company because it was modeled the wrong way. And often leadership is really just modeling. I saw my previous leaders, my previous upline, my previous colleagues, basically when somebody left their team, that person was roasted, ousted, outcast, blocked, shamed, blamed. I mean, every possible bad thing you could do probably to a person, it was done. Now, this again, beyond the company working with their compliance issues, I'm just saying field leadership, like their reaction was extremely defensive, somewhat predatory, very, very, very blaming, tons of gossip. And ultimately they put a ton of focus and light on that person leaving. And I think it actually goes down to one of the core things of network marketing and corporate that I feel is very wrong and very unattractive. It's performance-based acceptance. So I only love you when you're doing something for me. And that's something to kind of meditate on. Like, do you only value your team or the people on your team, because they are humans behind a distributor number? Do you only value them when they're producing? Do you only value them when they're making money? Do you only value them when they're making you money or adding, volume to your organization? Or do you value that person regardless of if they're in your company, in your downline or not? And it takes a special amount of personal development and emotional intelligence to get to this point, because I get it. It is scary when somebody leaves your team. Oh my gosh, is everyone going to go with them? What's going to happen to that leg or that organization? Will other leaders outside of them feel that maybe the opportunity isn't good? What kind of unbelief? And these are all very real fears, but God doesn't call us to a spirit of fear, but one of love and a sound mind. And so we have to come and approach the subject from a biblical lens and a spiritual lens. That is what a soul CEO does. It's like, hey, I'm a CEO, but I'm going to lead with soul. This is going to give you so much more influence. This is going to give you so much peace. And ultimately, who is responsible for your check, your volume, your organization, your trajectory, your promotion? That's Yahweh, that's God, right? Jesus is in charge of your promotion. And if there are times, I'll tell you, I had lost a large chunk of leaders in my previous business, and it was kind of a mass exodus from the company. I was one of the last to actually leave, like the last of the Mohicans. But I'll tell you that when I had gone through that experience, looking back, as painful as it was, to do it wrong, to feel the fear, to feel like kind of like, oh my gosh, like a poverty mindset, like, oh my God, I need to keep all my people. One, I was putting very little faith in God in protection, God in restoration, and God was doing a work in me. He had to still strip and cut off and really buff out a lot of the nasty, jagged edges of my ego. The ego that thought that I built it myself, that God wasn't involved at all, that I promoted everything myself, that like God didn't have any aspect or responsibility to my promotion, and that my way, my path, my vision, our team, our system, our company, our products, whatever, was best for everyone. And so it just screams ego. And after pride comes the fall. So sometimes our trials are actually meant to really refine us. We see that in James. Why do we count all trials joy? Because they create an incredible spiritual character. So I want to give you guys, 5, 6, tips of when somebody leaves your team or leaves your company, how to react to that. If you're the upline specifically, this is a podcast for you. You might want to save this one. You might want to bookmark it to come back to, because you might not be dealing with this right now, but it's one that I hope will encourage you and edify you through that process, because it is inevitable. It's inevitable. In fact, oh gosh, I kind of want to go on a tangent. Can we go on a tangent? Is that okay? Can we go on a tangent? All right. I got your approval. Let's go. There are going to be times in your business when it's tough, right? So you have times of momentum, times of stabilization, and times of decline. I've talked about that on numerous episodes. Times of growth, times of stabilization, and times of decline. When times get tough, and I'm not talking about a week or a month even, but usually several months or maybe even a couple of years, you only have 3 options in your company. That's it. Every distributor only has 3 options when things get tough. And by the way, it will always get tough. You look at Amway, within a short period of time, this was many, many decades ago, they went from about 7 billion down to like 3 billion. Like they lost half of their distributor base, customer base, volume, sales. They were on primetime TV, basically called a pyramid, at 7:00 every night on the nightly news. I mean, it was awful. But then they went back and they rebuilt up to like an $11 billion a year company. And a lot of those people that stuck with it at the 3 billion, they are now, multi gazillionaires, and very, 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 many of them are ghosts in the industry. You don't even know them. They don't have a Facebook page, but they're sitting atop massive teams because they stuck through it. So when times get tough, and it will, whatever your company might feel like it's a lot of momentum right now, you might feel like it's really easy right now. You might be the hot kid on the block. Again, after pride comes the fall. A lot of times there's usually something like, there's always some big leader that leaves, even if times are good. And that can cause chasm breaks, shocks through, earthquakes through the bedrock of your company. Leaders change in the corporate level, products change, ingredients change, compensation plan changes, the IT or technology changes, or the culture shifts, and your model's no longer relevant. So when times get tough, you have 3 options. Number 1, you can quit the industry. Number 2, you can leave to a new company. Or number 3, you can relaunch yourself and reinvent yourself. So at any time things get really tough, those are the 3 things that you can do. There's 3 things that your leaders will do. They'll either quit the industry, and I've seen this a million times. Well, not a million, but a lot, right? I've seen this a ton of times. People have built up to a couple hundred, couple thousand or more a month, and things got really tough. And they just said, I'm just out. I just don't want to do this anymore. Network marketing isn't for me. I'm out of here. They go to a different profession or back to a job. Second aspect is they go to a new company. And there's right and wrong reasons to go to another company. I'm going to schedule that and talk about that in a different podcast. If you like that, I mean, let me know on social media. I think it'd be helpful. We can talk about, what to look for and why to leave and when to leave, because, sometimes there's really inappropriate times to leave and you just might be kind of freaked out at the moment or, not seeing the bigger picture, or things are just getting tough and you think it's just going to be easier. The problem with number 2 is that inevitably, remember, times are going to get tough again. Growth, stabilization, decline. Growth, stabilization, decline. Momentum, stabilization, and decline or retraction. So what are you going to do then in 18 months, 24 months, 36 months when you hit a rough spot? Again, when you've already gone and re-recruited everybody, you built up your new downline, right? You got some new leadership, you rebuilt your check, but then things get tough again and things start to decline or they're frustrating, or now you really see the back end of the company and you're like, gosh, this isn't what I thought it would be. I thought it'd be better. It's kind of like that honeymoon phase, or like from the outside, the grass is greener. So what are you going to do? You're either going to quit the industry, go to another company, or reinvent yourself there. And I know some people that have made professions, careers in network marketing out of jumping, like being a number 2, just jumping and hopping from company to company. And I'm shocked that people even still follow them at this point. Like some of them are on like their 10th company in the matter of like 15 years. And either that person is just really predatory to the comp plan and just trying to get a bunch of money up front. They really don't care about a long-term game. And then a lot of those leaders, really their teamies are the collateral damage. Those teamies are the casualties because they're not the big ones, the big guys, the head honcho types getting the deals. So those are the 3 things that are going to happen, or 3 choices that you have. So you're either going to quit, jump, or reinvent. Okay. So what do? You love your company. You love maybe your products or your upline, or you have a great testimonial with the products or services that you have. You feel you would love, like everything. You're like, hey, I don't want to go anywhere, but like somebody left on my team. Again, this just happened to me. Like I've had leaders just recently join my team and I've had leaders just recently leave. Like it just is part of network marketing. So first off, is understand that we run network marketing is a volunteer army, right? This is not corporate America or corporate Europe or corporate Australia. You don't own anybody. Like your downline, they owe you nothing, nada. I always remind my teamies of this, like when they're really apologetic or I'm like, listen, you don't owe me anything. Like you make me money. I owe you, like, if anything, I owe you a little something, like a little help, right? A little support, make sure you're plugged into a system, but like, you don't owe me anything. Like you don't have to follow me. You don't have to listen to me. I mean, certainly there's an amount of coachability and teachability with mentorship that's required, but like, you don't owe me anything. You don't owe me a reasoning or whatever. They aren't employed by you. And again, any contracts that they sign, meaning like contractual agreements of not cross recruiting, they sign with the company. So let the company deal with that. But understand that people are here on their own accord. And so the higher that you are in leadership, in skill set, in mindset, the higher emotional intelligence you are, the more that you refine your personality, your charisma, these things are going to make people magnetic to you. If you're always learning, always growing, always improving, plugged in, people will keep following you. But it's a volunteer army. Like there's no like, I kind of think of factory farming where these poor cows or these poor chickens are like stuffed into pens or like locked into them and they're constantly being force fed all this food. It's just terrible, horrible analogy, but like they can't go anywhere. They're not imprisoned. They're not, they don't have to show up to your business. Even like on your Monday night calls or your Wednesday night Zooms, like it's not compulsory. It's just all optional. So understand, like, listen, this is very different than management in a corporate spectrum. You are leading a volunteer army. Number 2, people do come in your life and out of your life for a reason. Like some people come in your life for a reason. Some people come in your life for a season. And as I remember in my previous company, I had a great friend. I mean, loved her to death. And when we parted ways, she went to a new company and I went to my company. And we haven't really maintained contact as much. I mean, it was not a bad departure, but we just kind of went separate ways. And she has her life and I had my life. And I went through a ton of, interesting struggles I've shared on this podcast. And I hope that at some point, the door is open that we would reconnect. But, I know she was in my life for a season there, and I was grateful for that. Not everyone's going to be with you forever. Not every leader that you built with, like some of the major leaders that got me to six figures, like 100, 200,000 a year in my first, in this business, those first like 18 months, they're not here. Like they helped me get to where I needed to be, but like they were just in there for a season. Like they quit the business, they went to a new company, and just a few have reinvented themselves over and over and over for years. So understand that people are going to come in and out, that it's like the New York Yankees, the starting lineup. They're always the New York Yankees, the Boston White Sox or Red Sox. Did I get that wrong? I think it's the Red Sox. The New York Knicks. They are always the Knicks or the White Sox or the Yankees, but their starting lineup changes every year. Okay. So just understand people kind of come in and out. Number 3, lead with open pastures and open fences, but with boundaries. So when I'm talking, and I've had this conversation recently, somebody, hey, they want to go start building another company. Our company allows you to do that. You just can't cross recruit. And I say, listen, hey, just, follow the procedures, do it well, do it honorably, and keep your business open. Because if it doesn't work out, I'd love to have you back. And even if you don't want to come back, I'm always here for you. If you have any questions, if you need any support, if you need coaching, I've done this a long time. I'm happy to, be a resource for you, even if we're not in the same company, right? If you're not building ABC company. This has worked well, and I believe it's biblically commanded with us. I mean, again, it's like the not controlling all of that, the leading with love mentality, honoring people where that they're at, having grace with people, because sometimes people make crazy decisions. And instead of just like blocking them or being aggressive to them or, calling them stupid or calling them names or, anything like that. It's like, no, hey, if you feel like you're going to be happier, healthier, wealthier somewhere else, hey, like I appreciate that. You got to do what's right for your family. You got to do what's right for you, and you got to feel congruent. And I've had the conversation of 3 things that happen when things get hard. I've had that conversation with people like, listen, are you leaving for the right reasons? Because you're going to have hard times again. And what are you going to do then when your business is not growing as much? You got to reinvent yourself there. And so I've had some mentoring conversations with people kind of in an exit way, but most of the time it's just like bless and release. Bless and release. It's like, hey, the door's open. If you want to be back here, with boundaries, if they go and they massively go on a campaign, just like destroying you, your character, the company, whatever, obviously, that's probably not a person we want to partner with again. But I think if you lead with this, unless they're completely psychopathic or personality disorders, most people, they are going to leave pretty gracefully, especially if you kind of leave it in this sense. So, hey, listen, you're always welcome back here. We'd love to have you. Even if you don't want to come back, if you need me for anything, you know where to find me. I wish you success and luck, because again, like, you don't own them. So what are you trying to do? Like, do you think that pouring vinegar on them is going to be more attractive than honey? No, not Napoleon Hill, Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. You attract more bees with honey. And it's not a fake manufactured honey. It might feel that way in the beginning and you might be hurt, but like ultimately it's what benefit are you going to being all up in your hurt or your feelings with them or taking it out on them? Like that's only going to drive them further out. Case in point, I had a girl leave my team, and this girl's actually one of my best friends now. She left my team a few years ago and went to a company that was really hot. And she left for a couple of different reasons. And primarily, she was actually having a couple of health issues and she wasn't sure what was causing it. And so she went to a new company, was building there for about 7 months and hit me back. And we left it great. I said, hey, open pastures, open fences. I'm here for you. Hey, even here, you haven't chosen a sponsor, sign up with this woman, my friend, who's a top earner there. She's amazing. You're equally yoked. I connected her with her enroller. So I had enrolled her in ABC company. And I connected her with the new company. Like she was leaving me and I'm saying, hey, sign up with her. She's amazing. Well, after 7 months, my girlfriend did not like it there. She didn't feel at home or at peace. And she missed our team, Team Heart, and missed our company. And so she wanted to come back. But because she had done it well, because we had left it well, because there was this just open door kind of policy, she came back in and she had never cross-recruited. She had actually maintained her position in our company, and she came back and her business was bigger. I mean, her team was still there. Like it was still producing volume, and she's now on a tear with her business years later, like just absolutely killing it, top 1% in my team. And, but I think that if I had been rude to her, if I hadn't had grace with her, I know for a fact I would have burned the bridge. What does that serve us, burning the bridge? Why do network marketers do this? And I know because they saw somebody else do it, because I did it. I did it years ago. And part of this podcast is just sharing, like, this is the raw, honest truth about how to like go through 50 yards of crud in like the Shawshank Redemption speak. I've had to like army crawl through, 500 feet of fecal matter, so to speak. Not literally, but I've had to go through a lot of really tough and stinky and nasty times because of what I saw or was modeled or taught. And once then God started doing work on me. He's like, this is not the way to lead. And so number one, lead a volunteer army. Number two, people are going to come in and out of your business. It's just going to happen. Sometimes they're only in it for a season. You're probably not going to have the team you have right now forever. It's just even as close to friends you think they are. Number three, lead with open pastures, with boundaries. And then number four, speak no ill will, speak no gossip. We think in Ephesians 4:29, let no corrupting talk come out of your mouths, but only good things, building up as fits the occasion, that it may give grace to those who hear. We hear in Proverbs 6:16-19, it's the 6 things that the Lord hates. 7 that are an abomination: haughty eyes, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked plans, feet that make haste to evil, a false witness that breathes out lies, and one who sows discord among brothers. And you might say, well, Rachel, you don't understand. This person's being nasty and they're telling lies, or they're doing this. Or maybe you're just mad at them and you did so much for them, and now that they left you and you just feel butthurt. There's no reason to speak ill will. Like, it will not help you. God will not elevate you. No gossip, right? The dishonest man spreads strife. A whisperer separates close friends, right? So you might think, well, it's Proverbs 16:28. Oh, and I'm going to go to that person's friend and I'm going to tell them that person really hadn't been working their business, or they really weren't a good leader, they weren't a good person anyways, or blah, 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 cut their character. And you're trying to separate friends. You're trying to create strife. Let those people come to their own conclusion about Sally or Sammy or Susie. That's not your job. It's literally not your job. I think about James 1:26. If anyone thinks he's religious or spiritual, but doesn't bridle his tongue, he deceives his heart. His faith is worthless. His religion is worthless. So therefore, you might profess to say, I'm a believer, I'm a Christian, but it really comes down to how are you going to act, meaning speak more often than not? How are you going to speak in the moments where your faith is really on display? And I've had to really be controlled in my network marketing career, especially the last few years, in this specific manner, right? The tongue, it's the strongest muscle in our body. Really, it's the most cutting muscle as well. So honestly, it's just, Psalm 34:13, keep your tongue from evil, your lips from speaking deceit. Psalm 101:5, whoever slanders his neighbor, I will destroy. Whoever has a haughty look or an arrogant heart, I will not endure. And so it's like, if you're thinking ill will, you're speaking ill will, you're gossiping, you're haughty, you're arrogant, God's saying, I'm not going to endure you. Like, you're going down. And that's the judgment side of God, right? He is equally love, but he's also equally just. He's a perfect love, and he's perfectly just. And so he's not going to take it. Like, there is consequence to our sin and when we're acting in ego. Number 5 is it's okay to reaffirm your position with their downline or your other downline and tell them why you chose your company. Like, stand strong, over communicate, re-edify the belief. And this is a good thing. Like, they're all looking at you as the leader to say, well, what is she or he going to do? And say, listen, people come in and out for a reason. I'm here for the long run. This is my commitment. I love this company because of XYZ. Reaffirm your position, your devotion, your commitment, your vision of what you're going to see. Good leaders have vision. Great leaders give vision. So this is a time for you to step up in your leadership and give the people vision of where you're going to go. Because you're like, well, man, that person left and that person left and that person left. Am I in the wrong place? Maybe. I mean, not all companies are created equal. Like, I get it here. But if you love your company, and understand that people are going to come and go, there's going to be times and frequently you need to reaffirm your position and your loyalty and, what you plan on doing there. And, obviously that goes without saying that, if your company is doing shenanigans, that might be a reason to leave. But if it's a good company and you feel really great about it, share that. And then number 6, what to do if somebody leaves is be there, obviously, to support all who wish to stay and build. Just make yourself available, dial down, reach out to people, say, hey, I'm sure you heard about Sally leaving. How do you feel about that? Hey, do you have any questions of what that means? Do you have that questions what it means for you? How can I be supportive of you? How can I help you with your business? Can I plug you into our systems? Can I plug you into our mentoring channel? Can I plug you into the training that we have? Can I be here as like your, it ends up being like an adoptive sponsor if you're their upline to say, hey, because a lot of times people are maybe in the downline of a leader and they may not really want to go, but nobody's really talking to them. And so those people almost end up quitting because their sponsor, or whatever, their upline left. And so it's a great opportunity for you to dig down if you have a larger team and meet those people if you haven't yet and say, hey, I know that Sam left and, I want to let you know that I'm here. I'm not going anywhere or, whatever. This is why I chose this company and this is what I love. We got a lot of things going on. How can I plug you in? This brings me back to one of our first podcasts I did with my dad, which I think was like podcast like 15 or 16, and 14. We talked about mileage, more invitations, less expectations, acting grateful every day. And I send invites out, literally and figuratively. I'm inviting people to come into my space, to come into my mentorship, to come into under my tutelage, to come into our training, to come into our network marketing home, our tribe, to plug into this business, to plug into the products. I'm inviting them to participate, but I have less expectations and even expectations on my leaders that they're always going to be here, that they're always going to be excited, that they're always going to be a 10 out of 10, that they're always going to be committed, that they're always going to be unwavering. I don't have that expectation. They are human. And I also know that some of them will come in and out of my life. Like it is what it is. But I'm here for those that see the value of this system, this training, this company. I'm going to be here to support them, right? And then acting grateful every single day. Even if you lose like your largest leader or a couple leaders or a couple of your teamies and you only had 5 teamies and 2 of them left or whatever it was, there's something to be grateful for. And it is going to be impossible to move into production and stay in your purpose if you feel victim, if you feel like a victim, if you feel mistreated, if you feel entitled, they shouldn't have left me. I trained them. I made them who they are. I mean, I heard this in my previous company. Like, I made that person. It's like, well, wow, you need to really take your ego off there. But it's like acting grateful every day. What can you be grateful for? Well, if half of your business leaves, you still have the other half left. I mean, talk about a half full or half empty philosophy. Maybe you drop in a rank, but that's still 5 ranks higher than when you started, which was rank 0. It's just one of those things. So last thing, I didn't have this written down, but number 7, I guess, a piece of advice is to be in action. communication, talking to new people, both in your business and that are looking at the business. Stay close to the fire. Make sure that you're plugged in, obviously, daily into your spiritual practices, but listening to great positive mindset information about this industry, and that you're raising your skill and that you're still out there kind of sharing and prospecting for your business. If you did lose somebody, you probably got to replace them, and moping, sitting around, complaining, whining ain't going to get you there any faster. It's not going to replace that volume or replace that leader. And so put yourself, pull those big girl panties up, those big boy pants up, and go back to work, right? Because you're going into a season where it's tough, right? And maybe it's 5% of your team, or maybe it's 10%, or maybe it's 70%. I don't know, but you're losing a teammate, losing a leader, and you have to decide what to do next. Are you going to quit? Are you going to go to a new company yourself? Or are you going to reinvent yourself there? And so I hope that most of you guys probably find yourself in camp 3, but there are seasons for us all. So I love and appreciate you guys. Hopefully this is helpful of what to do as a leader when somebody leaves your team, or how to kind of manage that. And if there's something that I missed, you're thinking, hey, Rachel, you should have really shared that. Or, wow, I really loved, this was my takeaway from this podcast. Make sure that you guys tag me at Soul CEO on Instagram and join our brand spanking new Telegram channel. It is t.me/Soul CEO. It's also in the show notes. And we can connect more on a daily and weekly level with mentorship communication. It's a really cool chat group that we just started. So would love to see you there. All right, guys, God bless. And go out there and build profit with purpose.